Hello, welcome back everybody. Today's topic is installation of a shooter kit in our G43 and K43 rifles. Now what exactly is a shooter kit? The main components of the shooter kit are the gas cylinder and the gas piston. You will find the same parts, just looking like these here, underneath the handguard of your G43. That's where the gas cycling system is. And as always, before we work on a rifle, we want to make sure it's safe to be worked on. So let's remove the magazine. Let's cycle the action once, make sure there's no round in the chamber. And we're actually ready to work on it now. So in order to remove the upper handguard and get to the gas recycle system, we need to remove the steel nose cap, and there's a little tab on the back side. You press it in, you pull the nose cap forward, and now you can remove the handguard, and there's our gas cycling system. Now how does it work? Pretty easy. Let me pull the bolt carrier back. So once you fire a round and the bullet enters the barrel, there will be gas pressure building up behind the bullet. And as the bullet travels through the barrel, it passes this point here. And this little piece is called the gas block. It taps out some of the gas and directs it into the gas recycle system. And here you see the gas cylinder. Here is a short connecting rod, and this is the main operating rod. Now, as gas pressure builds up inside the cylinder, it pushes the cylinder backwards, like this. And at the same time, the operating rod pushes back the bolt carrier. Let me unlock the bolt carrier and just show the function. So it kicks it back. You see it? So, now this was built for the Eastern Front. It was built for operating under very bad conditions, ice, dirt, low maintenance, no maintenance. So the Germans designed this gas piston system way too powerful. So what happens is, in our day and age, where everything is well lubricated and there's almost no friction, every time this gas system kicks, it will violently kick back the bolt carrier. And what happens is the bolt carrier will slam against the end of the bolt housing and the receiver. And ultimately, it can damage the rifle. Now, how is that? Here is another bolt assembly, and this sheet metal piece here is called the bolt housing. And at the end of the bolt housing, you may see there's some damage here to the bolt housing because the bolt constantly slammed into the back of the bolt housing, material fatigued and cracked. Sometimes it actually bends the back end of the receiver right here. So that's not good. So in order to literally keep the pressure out of the system, we install the shooter kit. And the shooter kit is very easy to replace, but it's not done with just replacing the gas cylinder and the gas piston. There's a little bit more to it. Some shimming, some adjusting, some fine-tuning. So let's first take the old gas system out. So we push the operating rod forward, remove the connecting rod, remove the gas piston. Here they are. And now we can remove the operating rod. Now it's all out. So next step is removing the gas piston. Now you could take a wrench and just unscrew it. Hold on very good to the barrel. Now what you do is you not only unscrew or put force on the piston to unscrew it, you also put a twisting force right here where the gas block is shrink fit to the barrel. We don't want to do that, so we need to support the gas block. So we want to use a monkey wrench, but I'm not going to put it on the blued parts. In order to keep the parts pristine, we will put some painter's tape, a couple layers of painter's tape. So now we can put the wrench onto the gas block and unscrew the gas piston. Now, it doesn't always go that easy. I've done it a couple of times, so the threads are pretty clean. If you do it for the first time, it's probably all gummed up and will be not very easy to remove. So be careful and take your time, WD-40, Croy, whatever you got. So, now we will replace the original piston with the shooter's kit piston. And let me thread it in. Sometimes it makes sense to put some anti-seize compound, you know, the copper paste around the threads. Makes it easier to assemble. So let me tighten this up. Okay, there we go. Now, what is the difference between these two pistons? They look pretty much alike. Now, I want to show you something. The original piston, like I said, is a very powerful system, has a huge, here it is, has a huge orifice where the gas shoots out and drives the cylinder back. Now, this one doesn't. Actually, it has a very small orifice. Only this diameter. Compare these diameters here. So, you see the difference. And it's done using a little threaded insert. Let me put this on the tip of the Allen wrench here. It's a threaded insert with a tiny hole. So it's a restrictor that goes right here into the back end of the gas piston. And there are several diameters for this orifice, and you have to choose the one that really works best for your rifle. Now, what you also need to do is not only replace gas piston and gas cylinder, you also need to replace these springs here. This is the spring that goes over the operating rod. It needs to be replaced. We also need to replace springs inside our bolt assembly. Now, there are two springs in there called the recoil springs. I have a spare bolt assembly. I have it right here in my hand, and I will quickly take it apart for you to see how it looks inside. I actually have a video that shows step by step disassembly and assembly. So there are two springs inside, very easy to disassemble, very well made and well thought out mechanism. So you have three springs that you need to replace. You can get them on eBay, you know. Same with the shooter kit. You can get it on eBay. You can buy it from a company named Walther. Walther also has the spring kits. So there's a variety of springs and gas restrictor system out on the market. Just read up a little bit on the reviews, buy the one that you think it's the best, and make it work. So you have to balance everything. You have to balance the springs and the orifice diameter, and then you will have a very smooth cycling system. Now let me put this together. So first we reinsert the operating rod, and the gas piston and the gas cylinder are sliding elements here, so we want to put some lube on them to keep the friction down. And you should always do that. When you come from the range, you clean it up, please lube it, because the piston is stainless steel, but the cylinder is just ordinary steel. Sometimes there's residual moisture in there. it will corrode, it will grow a little bit because of corrosion, and then it gets stuck and it won't work anymore. So just maintenance. So let me push the rod back. Okay, insert the gas piston, gas cylinder on top of the piston. There we go. So now we have to insert the connecting rod to make it work. Now watch your fingers. There's a lot of power on this little spring. So almost good, only almost. So now as we close the bolt, what we see is there's some slack in this system here. When you look at this little gap, see how it opens up? Let me move the camera a little bit over. There's a little bit of slack here. You see that? This slack should only be 30 thousandths of an inch, ideally. So let me quickly measure this. Well, this is about 60 thousandths of an inch. So we have to shim it, and we will put a shim right here between the piston and the connecting rod. And the shim is just an ordinary stainless steel washer. This one happens to be 40 thousandths thick. That gives me about 20 thousandths of play, which is not exactly what I want, but knowing that the system will wear in after a while, eventually it will get a little bit more slack again. That's why you need to check it every time you clean the rifle. And it will probably go to 40 thousandths, 20 thousandths or 30 thousandths. So let me add the shim. There it is. There we go. So now let's measure again. So let's move the bolt carrier forward. That's very important that you do that. You have to close it. And now you measure again here. Way less slack. And we are at about 25,000. Not bad. So the last thing we need to do is adjust exactly how far we want the bolt carrier to move during recoil. And how do we do that? So I told you, we don't want it to go all the way back where it slams into the receiver. So we want it to stop a little bit before that. And the right size of the orifice will control how far it goes back. So what we will do first is take our painter's tape, pull the bolt carrier all the way back, and now right at the very end where it stops, we put the painter's tape. It's hard to see right now, my hand is in the way. So right here, see it? That's where we want it to go. This is how far the bolt carrier will go back. Okay, so it has to go far enough back to clear the magazine so a new round can be loaded. And ideally you want to have about a 1/4 inch spacing between the tape here and where the bolt carrier stops. So I put a second tape over it and a little bit, about a 1/4 inch ahead of the first one. And this is what you do at the range. You put the tape on it and now you shoot. And you will observe that when the orifice is too big, it will go back too far and it will mess up your tape. So that's the indication that you still have too much force in your recoil system. So what you need to do is take a smaller orifice and try again until it stops right here, right at where the tape is. So that's it. Let me put it back together. Put the handguard back on. Nose cap. Magazine, and we are ready for another day at the range. Thank you for watching my video and good luck installing your shooter kit. If you have questions, just shoot me an email. Thanks. Bye.